Are they kind of cool?
They're really cool.
Really?
Hi guys, I'm Patrick.
And I'm Adam.
And this is Clock,
Stock,
and Barrel, where we deliver a consumer's opinion on watches from casual to luxury. So guys, we have a special review for you today. I unboxed this watch a couple months ago. It's been in my collection for quite some time now, so I've had plenty of time to not only enjoy it, but also get a good opinion on this piece. And this is, of course, the Victorinox Carbon. I'd like to state a few things before we begin today. I've heard you. Better audio? Bam, better audio. More wristwatch time? Bam, more wristwatch time. So this is our Victorinox Carbon on the wrist. I have a 7¼ wrist, if you guys didn't know that. It looks bigger than it really feels, and it might be because of that paracord strap. We'll get into the dimensions in just a second, but there you go. That's the piece in for review today. It's an absolutely stellar looking watch, and I cannot wait to tell you about my experience with it. It's been a couple months in the life, and it'll be a first impression on Adam's part. So let me take this off for you guys, and then we will talk more on it. So we're going to rattle off a few of the specs for you before we go into discussion on the watch. But Adam will take that away for us.
Yeah, guys. So this is the Victorinox Swiss Army I.N.O.X. I.N.O.X. Carbon. As you guys can see, it's the carbon fiber model. So the MSRP on the paracord strap for this guy is $950. And on the black rubber, we're looking at $850. So a nice, cool piece tool watch that you can have for sub $1,000. Powered by a Ronda 715 quartz movement, which is, of course, a Swiss quartz. There's 6 joules in there. I didn't even know you could have joules in there.
Yeah.
Power reserve, 60 months.
60-month power reserve?
I just read that. That's funny that they have power reserve for a quartz watch. I looked at that and I'm like, wait, what?
That's a little odd.
That would be a really cool power reserve for a watch.
Talk about your 8-month. I got a 60-month.
Oh man! So it's
8 hour.
It says the movement's actually gold plated too, which is kind of cool.
Really? Well, I wish you could see it.
Probably not good to have an I.N.O.X. that's like indestructible with a sapphire case back, right? Let's see what else. So it's full carbon composite case material, 43 millimeters in diameter. 21 millimeter lug width, actually, so kind of odd there, right between the 2022. And Arabic applied luminous markers, 200 meter water resistance, and probably the coolest thing here is that they have a survival paracord strap that you can actually unwind that, right? Or kind of
you could
in a survival situation.
If it came down to it, I forget how many feet and or the exact measurement of this cord, but you can actually cut it on one of the ends and use it to pitch a tent, make a line to tether yourself on, like climb a wall.
Make a fishing net.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of info out there on how to utilize paracord in survival situations. Yeah. Victorinox may even produce a handbook for it, but there's that function for you. I mean, they're touting it as the ultimate field watch, so I had to have the paracord strap, and these are custom made for this watch. So it's really cool. They're definitely buying into this idea, and they're selling it for that purpose. So it's very cool that and this is a new edition. This was not out with the original models, and I'm really happy they're making these.
And they have different colored ones you can get on the website as well. I think they have red, green, and then some other one as well.
So this is no different, like the Carbon model's paracord strap. This is the same paracord strap you'd see if you'd purchased the steel black version. It's not specially made for the Carbon edition, which I'm sad to say. I wish they would have made some unique modifications to this paracord to make it suited for the Carbon, but again, that's all right. The cords themselves, the straps themselves sell for like $130. Full retail.
I think they were $170 full retail. Oh, maybe it was $130. Yeah, I think you're right. I think
they're up there. These straps are up there. So I'd suggest, if you can, this isn't the first box set. There are actually box sets, I believe, of the red, green, and black version that come with the rubber and the paracord. That would be the best way to acquire one of these watches if you're looking to save a little bit of money and you wanted to get the paracord instead of buying it individually, I'd highly recommend you'd buy it in a box set. Now, the Carbon, as Adam mentioned, comes in a box set. I would suggest getting the box set. It's made to be worn on the paracord, and I'll go into that in further detail later.
Yeah, so, and then what's really cool is it has triple coated anti-reflective coating on the sapphire bezel as well.
Correct.
So right off the Victorinox website, it's kind of cool. They say, you know, they try to make it sound really cool. They say, made from a carbon resin composite that has protected space shuttles from re-entry temperatures in excess of 1260 degrees Celsius. It's the ideal companion for every adventure.
I mean, you know what? And I'm not gonna lie, whether those that story is true or not, or just pure hype, it's an absolutely amazing everyday watch. I mean, it's been accurate to the second. It's the stealth black. Now, it's not like a cheap looking. Sorry, guys. It's not a cheap looking DLC coating. It's actually through and through black carbon.
And it's really cool. It kind of gives off this very matte kind of. You can actually the camera is picking it up pretty well. The finish on it is very matte, you know, so it kind of looks badass that way. I thought it was going to be a little bit shinier. I didn't, you know, from pictures and stuff, but yeah, that camera is really picking up the kind of the brushed almost kind of look that the Carbon has.
Yeah, and this is all like natural formation. Like every single one of these Carbon watches are going to look a little different just based off of how that carbon gets molded. And that's another really cool part of this watch. So obviously there are two unique features to this watch that make it distinct from its brothers, the titanium and the steel version. That being the dial face, the I believe they call it
monoblock dial.
Monoblock dial.
Yep.
Because the dial, it looks like those are inlaid, the numerals and the hour markers, but those are actually built into the dial. So again, this is adding further to the resistance value of this watch. You can shake it, rattle it, hit it, dial, you know, whatever you're doing, you're not going to have to be concerned about those markers you know, being frail or fragile or falling off in the future, you know, foreseeable future.
It's very cool how all this was very purpose-built, you know, the entire I.N.O.X
line.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they did it, you know, at a pretty good price, because the steel ones, you can have those for well under $500.
You know, the ballpark is about $400, but I've seen deals anywhere between $300 and $400. And for the box set, again, with the paracord strap. And to me, that is a stellar deal. And let me go into why I think this watch is perfect. And probably the one you should be considering over the others. It's the lightest variant. It has that 24-hour scale under the sapphire crystal. Now, whether you want it or not, I'll tell you, it doesn't get in the way of legibility. And as a matter of fact, it's just a very, very cool aesthetic. And it's another splash of color on what would be otherwise very, you know, bland, at least color-wise, appearance for this watch. I love the touch of color on the crystal as well as that red seconds hand. It just livens up this watch dial a lot. And by the way, the 3, 6, and 9, the choice for the font choice for those numbers is absolutely gorgeous. I love how
reminds me of your Grand Seiko too.
A little bit, yeah. Well, they're perfectly rounded. The 6 and 9, the 3, just the curvature of those numbers. It's aesthetically beautiful and very, very easy to read. Very, very easy to read. And of course, I'll talk about the accessories in a second, but I'm just talking about the watch a little bit further. The crown action is phenomenal. It's very, very smooth to turn and set. Again, it's been extremely accurate. You have a quick set date, so of course there's it unwound, and you can go one step out to move the date, and I'll go ahead and do that for you guys here.
I don't know how I feel about that date window.
You know what?
You know, I don't know why they added the date, to be honest. It looks so random too. It's like right in between 4 and 5. I don't know if I like that aesthetically. But then again, I'm more of a no date person to begin with, you know, so I guess it makes sense with this piece, but
well, it's supposed to be an everyday wearer. So I understand why they added a date. I mean, most people like to have that function on their watch, so it's good that they're giving it to you. And I like how it doesn't interrupt any of the markings on the dial. I would prefer that it's offset as this one is, instead of eating away at that, you know, 3 or having the 6 removed, because I still want the dial to have that aesthetic. And it's nice that they added the function of the date without, you know, disrupting the flow of the dial. And I also love, I don't know if you guys can tell, how elevated those hands are off the dial. And you can actually see the arm that's holding those hands up. And it just floats. It's one of those things you have to see in person to appreciate most, but it's kind of gives it this sort of sundial effect, the way it casts the shadow of those hands on top of the dial. It's just a very, very nice aesthetic, again, lending to this watch's just aesthetic quality. It's very, very favorable. I much prefer this model over the steel and titanium variant, strictly for the dial design, but also the case, guys. Now, I don't generally like all black watches. I think they're a little cheesy. However, this carbon manages to pull it off and make the watch look professional. You know, let me just showcase this. Now, this is going to be placed in a future
teaser
review.
alert.
But this watch, what is it? Dark Side of the Moon?
Whichever side of the moon.
It's a good watch. However, I don't like how the black is done. It looks very looks like a fashion watch. It's just not a very aesthetically pleasing black to me, whereas this carbon has this very nice matte professional feel and look to it. And you can tell here, this one has this glossy sort of bubbly black look, and it just it doesn't feel as nice as this on the wrist. I hate to say it. I love Omega. It's just, you know, glossy DLC coatings just don't do much for me.
Ceramic.
That's
full ceramic case. The more you know.
Guys, we're going to do a review of that watch a little later on. But let me put this back on the wrist. I really do enjoy this piece. I haven't worn it in a bit. That's the other best part about this watch, is that quartz movement. Because, you know, it's a grab and go. It's certainly not a piece you're going to wear every day. But, you know, it's okay because it has a 60-month power reserve.
Yeah, and you know what else I really like about this piece? So I never really, when they originally came out with the I.N.O.X, I didn't really care about it too much. I didn't even watch any videos on it. I knew they had like a bunch of crazy, you know, tests that they were like did, and today finally I looked it up. It was actually kind of cool. They had was it a freaking like bulldozer run over one of the steel I.N.O.Xs, and they just like picked it up and it was perfectly okay. So it's kind of cool the stress test that this thing goes through, and I guess there's officially over 150 tests that they do.
I thought it was under 30.
Maybe it's 130. I've seen 100, 130, and 150 on a couple different places. So I'm gonna go with the high number.
A little too much. I believe the official number is 130, and you can watch numerous. You know, of course, the ads Adam's referring to are
on YouTube.
There's a lot of artistic liberty taken with them. You know, they're done up so much so that it's a little far-fetched when you watch them.
Makes you want one.
But they have actually undergone, these watch models have undergone 130 different strength tests. So that's everything from like frost resistance, heat resistance, shock resistance, everything. So, you know, they're putting out in the market that it's the most durable field watch, and from what I can see, it kind of is. I mean, I've worn this watch daily again for a couple months when I first picked it up. You know, I wore it for about 2.5 weeks straight, and I mean, it still looks like brand new. I mean, if that's what you're concerned with, I mean, if you want you want to watch that's durable, it certainly has held up. You know, and I don't really do anything too crazy on my day-to-day life, but it's guaranteed to last a long time, a lifetime. There's actually a 3-year warranty that comes with it too, so you know they're definitely backing this watch very strongly.
Yeah, true tool watch.
Yeah, so what I was talking about with this paracord, and I guess I'll take it off again, or actually I can show you on this front camera. So guys, if you haven't seen the paracord strap before, what it does is it extends out to the sides and sort of meets the lugs. So it's not the 21mm distance of the interior of those lugs, it's actually just a little bit wider on the sides. But I have to say, this completes the watch in the perfect way. This is the perfect complement of strap option for this watch. Because the rubber strap I was mentioning to Adam earlier, it's extremely thin and it's 21mm wide, and it only accentuates the size of this case. So if you have a smaller wrist and we're interested in this watch, I'd highly recommend the paracord strap because it makes it feel more in line with a bracelet or a bangle or something, you know, male or female audience viewers. It's going to feel more like a piece of jewelry than a timepiece, but in a very good way. Also, there are complaints about this paracord loosening during daily wear. I have to admit, I didn't notice that myself. It's actually quite easy to do though. You literally release the strap into this keeper here, and it loosens up. And you know what? That's actually a good thing I found throughout the day. I would prefer it to loosen up on my wrist as my, I'm working, my wrist is swelling. It's actually a very comfortable strap at that. And by the way, just speaking on the comfortability, the rubber strap is amazing on the wrist. It feels amazing. So if you don't want the paracord option, don't worry or regret about not getting this paracord. But if you did want the paracord, it's extremely comfortable. It's obviously water resistant as well as the rubber, so you can actually take it down to those 200-meter depths or into the shower or to wash dishes. Perfectly fine. Both strap options are water resistant. They do sell a leather strap option. I don't believe that's water resistant, and I know the bracelets that come with the steel versions are obviously water resistant as well. Yeah, so I've had it for a while. I think it's extremely comfortable. I think it's extremely beautiful. Adam?
I think it's okay.
Yeah?
I think it's a really cool piece. Keep in mind, guys, I literally probably saw this for the first time ever about 15 minutes ago. I do love the construction of the actual case itself. It's a pretty chunky case, Yeah. But I love the, I don't know, is this octagonal? I guess the bezel design.
Yeah.
I don't, the curvature and the way they, even with the crown guard.
You don't notice it. Yeah, you really don't notice this curvature here until you have it in hand, but it's not cut straight or flush against the body. It actually curves out
slightly towards you. So it's kind of cool that you, I don't know, I think the actual case design is pretty cool. I actually really like the fact that it's black as well. Because
is that not the nicest black finish you've seen on the watch?
It's pretty cool.
I mean, excuse me, so the ceramic case design of the Dark Side of the Moon, it just has this sort of glossy sort of fashion appeal.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the point though,
Yeah.
So I guess it comes down to personal preference.
That's true. And it's a bigger watch too, so it's supposed to be a modern fashion watch.
Yeah, I do like, because I think 43 for this watch is 43 is pretty big. It's getting up there. So I do like how the black downsizes it just a little bit. The
black, and with the paracord, it really helps downplay the actual scale of this watch. And that's another reason why I recommend the paracord, because it does feel rather large. And that's why I'm actually kind of interested in getting a steel and seeing if I like that one better, because honestly, this is sort of like a glorified, and we've talked on this subject before, it's like a glorified beater, and I would find myself wearing this every day, honestly, because it's just so reliable. Part of me wants to get a steel variant to see if I would like it, but I feel like it almost appear or feel bigger because of its material, the case material. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, the case, that's the biggest thing for me. I think the case is just super unique, because even like in between the lugs, you can see, if you want to put it up right here, right in between the lugs, it usually most watches will just kind of go against the contour of the round case, but it has that kind of straight edge right in between that's a little bit recessed below the lugs, which adds just another cool element to me. So I really, really admire kind of the unique case design that they created with this whole I.N.O.X.
Oh yeah, and everything is made purpose-built for this watch. And what's nice about this lug style, it's like a pseudo vanishing lug. You know how some watches will have a complete cover, like some of those are like older Omega Cosmics cover up the lugs entirely, the whole space. But what's cool about this is you can run a NATO through there and it would be a very, very clean aesthetic. And of course, guys, you can buy other strap options for this. It's 21 millimeters.
Yeah, what about the rubber strap that came with it? I didn't even actually hold it, but is it pretty crappy, or?
No, it's really good.
It's pretty good.
You don't need to take it out. It's really good.
It's just standard. It's a standard rubber.
It's a standard rubber strap. It's very, very. It's not hard. It's very soft rubber material. Very flexible. Extremely comfortable, and the holes are spaced very evenly and very nicely.
I personally would probably wear it on the rubber.
Yeah.
Just because the paracord. I mean, the paracord's cool, but it's just like not my thing to act. If I were to own this watch, I probably wouldn't. But,
and a lot of people don't like it, and I get it. I get it. I think it's just it feels like the right strap for this watch. I don't know how else to put it. Like it just lends to that sort of survival adventure aesthetic. It's just the right look for this watch, in my opinion, and
it's a perfect pairing. That's for sure.
Yeah, and that's why I keep it on there. So I have no qualms about that. And again, like the rubber and the bracelet and the leather options are great. I think bargain-wise, though, you couldn't do better than getting the rubber with the paracord. So at its price point, one of the only markets you can get it from is Victorinox itself. They haven't really supplied these at any vendors yet, and it cost $950, this box set, and that's a pretty high price for, I hate putting it this way, but it's kind of a high price for a quartz watch. We're sort of accustomed to quartz watches being the more affordable or cheaper variant. So,
right.
You know, how do you justify spending $950 if you're paying full MSRP for this watch with that quartz movement? And mind you, it's a good Swiss quartz movement.
Yeah, the Ronda Swiss quartz is, you know, it's a tried and true quartz, you know, movement. So,
yeah.
I mean, and plus, but you know, the biggest thing is it makes sense that there's a quartz movement in this watch.
Yeah.
You know, to actually be able to pass all those tests.
It would pass maybe like 10 of those
10 of those
strength
130.
tests
Yeah.
if it was an automatic movement.
Exactly.
And there's too many moving parts. It would be virtually impossible for them to commit to making a watch that is that durable with an automatic movement. I mean, at what I'm considering an affordable price range, like I think that for the steel to titanium to carbon versions, a watch that costs brand new $400 to $950 is actually very reasonable.
Yeah.
It's very, very reasonable for a quartz watch. Yeah. You know, it's not insane. The only competitor in this price range is the Seiko Tuna, I would say, so far as a durable quartz movement is concerned. Quartz watch, and of course that uses its own in-house caliber quartz engine.
Specifically for the Tuna.
Yeah. And now that watch is extremely durable. I'm sure it could pass the same caliber of test.
Yeah.
You know. But you had a Tuna, and now that was a big watch as well.
That was 48 millimeters, but the lug-to-lug was a lot shorter, so it didn't wear as large as it actually was. But that was a big watch.
You can sort of get them on the used market for, you know, it's going to cost a little bit more than a steel variant. Now, between a steel I.N.O.X and a Tuna, because I know a lot of people are weighing those two options.
I would go Tuna. I think the Tuna is just way cooler, and plus there's so much more history with the Tuna. We're talking like first quartz divers ever, you know, in the late 70s. Yeah. That was Seiko's
there were automatic Tunas as well.
Yeah,
until they decided that wasn't the right choice.
Right.
Yeah.
I think exactly. But I mean, with all the history, I think just the pedigree, the history and the pedigree alone is probably enough for me to pick the Tuna. But also aesthetically, I kind of like the Tuna a little bit.
What's odd is the Tuna wears smaller.
Yeah.
Despite its size, it's because it's a completely round case, but the lug-to-lug is very short.
Very short, yeah.
Whereas the height on this watch is actually pretty substantial, you know.
Yeah, I kind of miss that Tuna sometimes, actually.
Yeah, you really can't go wrong with any Victorinox model. It really comes down to aesthetic and case material at the end of the day, and whether you're willing to spend that premium on getting a carbon watch. Now, mind you, other carbon watches, you know, range in the thousands. This is a relatively new fad, I would say, to have a consumer carbon case watch.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you want to venture into the foray, this is a good way to do it. You know, I didn't buy it for its carbon case. Again, I sort of bought it for the dial design. I'm hoping they continue this dial design into their steel and titanium variants, maybe a second-gen version of those pieces. But as it stands now, this is the only way you can get that particular look. However, I do love it, guys. Again, this is one of those pieces I'm not sure it's going to stay in the collection or whether it should go or not, because you know how I maintain 6 watches. It's tough. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining us on Clock, Stock, and Barrel. If you liked this video, feel free to hit that like button. If you disliked it, that's okay too. We encourage you to subscribe. It's the best way to keep up with our content. We do 2 episodes a week, so feel free to hit that sub button and you will get those videos in your feed. Other than that, always leave commentary, constructive or otherwise.
Haters welcome.
Yeah, we love hearing your opinions. It really does help shape these videos, and of course that's why we've, you know, sort of transformed our setup today. We're trying to make this better for you guys always. So, of course, thank you for your comments. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining us.
Bye, guys.